Hello scholars, welcome, Mr. Hinkle here. And this lecture we will discuss how we communicate about how much water is flowing in the river. This is called discharge. We'll introduce the concept, how to calculate it, and what we use the information for. So, stream size is measured in terms of discharge. Discharge is given the variable Q is the measure of how much water is flowing past a point in the stream or a cross section over a period of time. This volume is measured in terms of cubic units, and volume steadily increases downstream. And that makes sense if we think about a catchment. If we measured how much water is flowing here, it's less than the input of here and here. Then we would see here, A, B, C. So more volume at C, less volume at B, least volume at A. And this is important for understanding rivers and also having a real-time ability to analyze rivers through time, through different floods, and also very practical uses, especially if you're a boater. You want to know, what's the flow on the river? Can I go paddle? Should I not because the water's too big? Or is it too low? Better wait till it rains again. Okay, so the equation here, Q equals VA. Discharge equals velocity over area. Velocity times area. Okay, let's put this in terms of metric units. Velocity is going to be in meters per second. An area is a length times a width. That's going to be meters squared. That would be 3 meters. That would be meters cubed per second, or CMS. If we do it in imperial, we could say feet per second times the area would be feet squared, which would be feet cubed per second, which this is commonly called CFS. So when thinking about how much water is flowing in the river, the way we communicate is through cubic feet per second, or the river has 1,000 CFS currently. Here's the cross section. It's one straight cut across the river. The velocity is going to be how fast that water is moving, and then the area is going to be, if this were a rectangle, it would be length times width. To get a little bit more accurate, you take little stripes and you do the velocity at each one, because velocity isn't current all the way across it. But we could say that for our intents and purposes, the velocity times the area gives us the discharge. In fact, I want to stay here. So let's say we've got a river and a geologist comes out. Hey, look, it's me. And measures a cross section across the river. So if the velocity passing through is 2 feet per second, and the area of this channel, we'll say, is 15 feet squared, what is the discharge? Well, we would say Q equals V dot A, which equals 2 times 15 is 30. Feet times feet squared, that would be 30 CFS. And now I understand how much water is flowing. I can use that to communicate and to analyze different forms and processes, because there are a lot of them, as discussed in our other lectures. Okay, so this is what hydrologists do, geomorphologists do, is they go out and they measure what this is. Well, rivers have what are called stream gauges. And a stream gauge is basically an instrument that measures the continuous elevation of the water surface level at a given point. Now, this continuous data gives us understanding of what that volume of water is or discharge is through time. But the elevation is not a volume or a velocity or an area. So these continuous measurements of velocity and area need to be coordinated within the field discharge measurements. Here's a researcher. This is measuring the velocity relative to what point across the stream it is. So the scientist here is measuring the stream flow, the velocity, has measured the area of the channel, can use that to create a discharge measurement at a certain time. Now this elevation of the stream is also known, and these information together can create a discharge rating curve, which gives a hydrograph for the river. A hydrograph is the discharge through time without having to be in the river every single step along the way. Hydrographs look like this: cubic feet per second through time. October 1st through September 31st, this is the hydrologic year. The hydrologic year starts in October, and then you have summer, and then back to winter. Well, this is the hydrograph for the San Joaquin River just below Friant Dam. It's pretty flat because of dam release. And then, whoa, there was a big release up to 10,000, and then it was pretty flat. And then, whoa, there was some big releases going on. That's because 2023 was a big water year, and the dam regulators were planning on how much water was going to enter their reservoir in order to not exceed the limitations for capacity. They had to release a big flow. Let's look at an unregulated river, the Cosumnes in California. So this is in response to rainfall events, same season. So we can see at the end of summer, around 30 cubic feet per second. Pretty low. Rainstorm bumps up to 200, some more rain up to over 3,000, more rain, 50,000. So the amount of water a river can transport is incredibly variable, and rivers have a huge capacity. These were the wettest months, and then it got a little bit drier, but all that water is still making its way into the river system. Some more rainstorms, and then slowly into the summer, the flows come down as the water moves through the river system. So discharge is the common measurement for rivers. It's the velocity times the area. But instead of just measuring it all the time, having people always on the river, we have stream gauges, which give us continuous elevation data that can be applied to a discharge rating curve that produce hydrographs so we can understand characteristics of the river and understand both fluvial forms and fluvial processes. Thank you so much. I'll see you again.